Well, Anne is calling from California. Anne's an atheist who thinks they may have had a supernatural experience. Hey, Anne, how are you? You're on with Promise and Matt.
Hello, Matt and Promise. How are you both today?
Good, thank you.
I'm a fuck up, just like every other day. But...
Me too. The reason why I'm calling is because I think I may have had a supernatural experience, and I don't believe in any gods, and I really don't believe in the supernatural. So I hope that I'm wrong and that there was something going on in my head at the time. So just to start out, June of 2014 was the worst month of my life. It started out with domestic violence, suicide attempt, then 5150, then some time in a battered women's shelter. And then at the end of that month, my father died. And the experience happened that night of the day that my father died. I went back home. I was all alone. And yes, admittedly, I was smoking weed. I had smoked weed a lot, and I never had an experience before or since. But I was sitting on the couch, and I was just thinking about stuff. And, I had smoked a little, and I kind of felt like a presence next to me. And I kind of thought I heard like the couch cushions move, like when someone's scooting closer to you. And then like maybe like not physically, like if someone really does put their arm around you, but like an energy or something of someone putting their arm around me, and it felt like an older man. And then it was gone. Huh?
What's an older man feel like?
Well, I mean, it's just the presence felt like it was an older man, like it wasn't a woman or a child or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I'm
okay. Yeah, but then I thought, well, was that just my dad saying goodbye? But then I thought, well, maybe I was high and maybe I was under a lot of duress, and I don't know if it's common to hallucinate like that. If it was a hallucination, which I'm hoping it was.
Yeah, and first of all, I'm so sorry for what you experienced, and that sounds truly like a terrible time in your life, and I hope things are better for you now. But I will say it actually is very common to have experiences like that when you're grieving, and that combined with the fact that you were under the influence of something. To me, it makes total sense that your brain helped create this moment for you to try to bring some sense of peace, or nothing about that sounds like evidence of something supernatural. It sounds very human to me, actually. I don't know what Matt will have to say about it, but to me, that I've heard this story from so many people that had very similar circumstances, especially with grief. You want to believe certain things, you want to feel like you have some closure and stuff. So that makes sense to me.
Okay, thank you.
So you had some experience. Yeah. Why would you even suspect that it was supernatural in origin?
It just kind of felt like it was outside of my mind more than inside of my mind. I mean, I've been high before, and like I'll see really cool things that are in my mind, but I know it's all in my mind. And this kind of felt almost, I don't believe in ghosts, but I guess, kind of ghostly-ish but it couldn't have been a ghost because I don't.
Why not?
Well, I don't really believe in them, and I kind of hope there aren't any, because that kind of means that when you're dead, you're roaming around forever and ever.
Yeah, but I mean...
But that's the feeling, yeah.
But you're like, oh, it can't be a ghost. And I'm like, why not? I don't know whether it can be a ghost or not. I think the soul is the most obviously false position in any religion. It doesn't make any sense, and there is zero evidence to suggest that it's a real thing or possible. But I can't say that it's impossible. But this ineffable feeling of, ooh, I'm having an experience and it doesn't feel like my brain. It feels like it's coming from outside my brain. Isn't that your brain telling you that it's outside your brain?
Yes, that could very possibly be true. Yes.
So, how can you tell whether or not it's coming from your brain or outside your brain?
It just it felt it just felt like someone was in the room with me.
I know what I
I
asked was, how
really
can
I
you
wish I could
tell?
explain it.
What I asked is, how can you tell whether it's in your brain or not in your brain?
Well, I guess in that instance, it I couldn't really tell.
Okay.
I couldn't tell
So
for sure.
you couldn't tell at all, not for sure. You couldn't tell
Yeah.
at all.
Okay.
So if you can't tell, then what conclusion should you be reaching?
That it was that it was in my mind.
No,
No.
you shouldn't reach that conclusion and you shouldn't reach the opposite conclusion. You do not have enough information to reach a conclusion about what it was or even what it likely was. The only thing we can say with confidence is that the available evidence suggests that things like this are a part of human psychology, and there is no reason to think that it comes from beyond the human mind, but we cannot rule that out. The answer is the conclusion you should reach is, I don't know what the hell that was.
Yeah, I guess I get hung up on being like sure about things.
What are you sure about?
Yeah.
Because I'm not absolutely certain of anything, but I'm strongly confident of some things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I guess that's just a personality flaw with me. Like I always have to have certainty.
What do you think you have certainty about?
Um, that well, right now that I'm alive and I'm
Are
having
you?
a conversation with you.
Are you? How do you know that? How do you know you're not a brain in a vat being fed information?
Well, I guess I really don't know.
There you go. This is why Rene Descartes' cogito ergo sum was basically, I think, therefore I am. And that suggests that even if everything I experience is a deception, there must still be a me that is being deceived, either by me or by someone else. And I have no way of knowing which of those is true. And Hobbes pointed out that that's based on the primacy of reason, but it's fine. The issue here is you really want to be sure. And you better get used to not being sure, because as far as I can tell, you can't be sure about anything, including whether the reality you experience is actually real. So, but that said, there are varying degrees of confidence within the reality you experience. You have good reason to think that you are having a conversation with me and Promise right now. Whether or not it's part of the matrix or whatever, it doesn't matter. You can be strongly confident, but not absolutely certain that we're having this conversation. And that's the way we operate. And as soon as you start to get comfortable with that, it'll be easier, not more easier. It'll be easier to say, hey, I had an experience, but I don't know what it is. And I can't be reaching
Hmm.
conclusions about it. Um, but I'll file it away. And if there is ever some way to explore that, then we'll do it. And if I'm prevented forever from exploring it, then there's nothing else I can do. Like, I don't have a time machine. I can't go back and evaluate things that happened in the past. I can only wait and see if those same or similar things happen again and what we learn about them. And this is where we get all the way back to where Promise was, when Promise was completely right, that we understand within the reality we experience that people dealing with grief seem to be able to create constructs and coping mechanisms that take on a variety of perceived forms, whether it's a ghost or an impression of a ghost or a memory of something or someone communicating with you in your head or audibly. We know all of these things are things that brains can do with no supernatural. Well, we have no reason to think that there's anything supernatural adding to it, but we know that brains can do it. And so if I lost a parent and smoked a bowl, I don't think that I would be making any conclusions about what I felt or experienced in that time frame unless it was independently verifiable by somebody else. And it's almost, we can be strongly confident that if we know anything at all, this is almost an obvious argument for, wow, our brains do really cool and weird stuff when we're grieving and in pain and in trauma. And this is, you could see where this could lead someone to having a mental break where they might need to be institutionalized. And one of the things is that you are one of the fortunate few who, when you experience something like this, don't necessarily suffer a mental break. You have a secondary set, and I'm not a psychologist. I wish one of them were here, but you have a secondary set of coping mechanisms. And to me, I use the analogy of mirror neurons. I definitely recommend everybody go learn about mirror neurons. They're really cool. And it's like when somebody gets punched in the face and you see that, your brain processes that input as if it were happening to you, which is kind of why we wince a little bit, when somebody gets kicked in the junk or knocked out or whatever, or they fall. There's a feedback circuit in your brain that says, hey, that's not you. And that's why you don't feel the full effect of the pain. And so there's a really cool experiment you can do by putting a fake arm down on the table, moving your actual arm over behind a wall where you can't see it, putting up a barrier so that you can't see your wall. Then you hit the fake hand with a hammer and you'll feel it in every practical sense about how the brain is so cool. And so before we should go leaping to, I saw a ghost or there's something supernatural, it's, wow, aren't brains cool? We should look into this some more. Anyway, that's a really long answer to how do I know it wasn't a ghost? I don't.
Well, that's giving me a lot to think about. So.
Cool. Well, thanks, Ann. We got some theists lining up, and we wish you well.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Ann.
Hey, if you liked that clip, you'd love the whole thing. Hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, patreon.com/calltheline. That one sucked. Use it.